For this week, we will be have the topic adding simple fractions and mixed numbers without and with regrouping. For lesson 1, we will discuss adding simple fractions without regrouping. To start this lesson, let us read this problem. Gia made 2 types of cookies. She used 2/3 cup of sugar for one recipe and 1/4 cup of sugar for the other. How much sugar did she use in all? So in order to look or to find if how much sugar did she use, we need to add 2/3 and 1/4. But remember, to add fractions, they need to be similar fractions, meaning they need to have the same denominators. But in this case, 2/3 and 1/4 are not similar fractions. They are dissimilar fractions because they have different denominators. We need to convert this first into similar fractions by finding their LCD, or the least common denominator. First, list down all the multiples of 3 and 4. For 3, we have 3 because 3 times 1 is 3. 6 because 3 times 2 is 6. 9 because 3 times 3 is 9. 12 and 15. And let us stop in 15 for this time and go for the multiples of 4. 4 because 4 times 1 is 4. 8 because 4 times 2 is 8. 12, 16, and their common denominator is 12. So let us remove all that multiples and use 12 as their new denominators. As you can see, we don't have yet their numerators. So we need to divide the denominator 12 to the denominator 4 and 3. So 12 divided by 4 is 3. 3 times 1 is 3. So we now have a numerator for 1/4. The new fraction of 1/4 is 3/12. Next, the 2/3. 12 divided by 3 is 4, and 4 times 2 is 8. 12 and the new fraction of 2/3 is 8/12. So 8/12 and 3/12 are now similar fraction. We can now add them. In adding similar fraction, just copy the denominator. The denominator is 12 and add the numerators 8 and 3. 8 plus 3 is 11. So we now have the answer, 11 over 12. So Gia used 11 over 12 cups of sugar. Let us go now to lesson 2, adding simple fractions with regrouping in the sum. To start this lesson, let us read this problem. The science club members spent 3/4 and 1/3 hour fixing the bird feeder. How many hours did they spend for these activities? So we need to add 3/4 and 1/3. Still, 3/4 and 1/3 are the similar fractions. We need to convert them first into similar fraction by looking at the LCD, or the least common denominators. To do that, list down first all the multiples. And now, look for the LCM, or the least common multiples of 4 and 3. What are the two numbers that they have in common? That is 12. Let us now use 12 as their new denominator and look for the numerators. So 12 divided by 3 is 4, and 4 times 1 is 4. So 1/3 is now 4 twelfths. 12 divided by 4 is 3, and 3 times 3 is 9. So 3/4 is now 9 twelfths. We can now add these two fractions because they are now similar fraction. Again, in adding similar fractions, just copy the denominator and add the numerators. 9 plus 4 is 13. We have 13 over 12. Oh, but this fraction is an improper fraction because numerator must be smaller than the denominators. But in this case, 13 is greater than 12. So we need to change this fraction into mixed form. To do that, we have to divide 13 to 12. 13 divided by 12 is 1. 1 times 12 is 12. Then subtract. 13 minus 12 is 1. Okay. So to create a mixed form, 12 will still be our denominator and our numerator will be the remainder, 1. And our whole number will be the quotient 1. So we now have 1 and 1/12 as our answer. For lesson 3, our topic is adding simple fractions and mixed numbers with regrouping in the sum. Let us use 2 and 2/5 and 3/4 as our example. But as you can see, 2/5 and 3/4 are the similar fractions. We have to convert them first into similar fraction before adding them. To do that, we need to look for the LCD, or the least common denominators. First, list down all the multiples of 5. We have 5, 10, 15, 20. And list down all the multiples of 4. We have 4, 8, 12, 16, and 20. Now, what number they have in common? Okay, that is 20. Now, let us remove all the numbers and use 20 as their new denominators. And look for the new numerators. So let us divide 20 to 4. 20 divided by 4 is 5. Then 5 times 3 is 15. Next, 20 divided by 5 is 4. And 4 times 2 is 8. So the new fraction is 8 over 20 and 15 over 20. we can now add them. In adding similar fractions, we need to copy the denominator and add the numerators. 8 and 15 is equals to 23. And don't forget that we have a whole number, and that is 2. Since 3/4 has no whole number, we just have to put down 2. So we have 2 and 23 over 20. Oh no, 23 over 20 is an improper fraction. We need to change this first into mixed form. Denominator must be greater than the numerator. So we need to change this into mixed form. To do that, we need to divide 23 to 20. 23 divided by 20 is 1. 1 times 20 is 20. Subtract. 23 divided by 20 is 3. So we will now have, again, 20 still is our denominator. The remainder will be our numerator, and the quotient will be our whole number. So 23 over 20 will be 1 and 3 over 20. But remember, we have the whole number, which is 2. So we need to add 2 and 1. So 2 plus 1 is 3. And copy the new fraction, which is the 3 over 20. So our answer is 3 and 3, 20.